The rain in Berlin falls in a relentless, whispering curtain, a symphony of gray that blurs the sharp, modernist lines of the city's newer architecture into the weary, stoic faces of its older buildings. It is a city of ghosts and futures, a dichotomy that Dr. Aris Thorne feels deep in his own weary bones as he stands before the monolithic, shimmering tower of Neuralink Industries. The building is a spear of obsidian and light, a stark, arrogant slash against the bruised, twilight sky. Its surface, a seamless skin of smart glass and reinforced polymer, seems to drink the ambient light of the city, reflecting nothing, giving nothing away. It is a fortress of secrets, and Aris, a man desperate enough to knock on its door, feels a cold tremor that has nothing to do with the damp chill seeping through his worn woolen coat. His reflection in the building's impassive facade is a ghost itself, a man in his late 40s, with a face that was once sharp and commanding now softened by the erosion of failure, his hair a disheveled mess of salt and pepper, his eyes shadowed by the lingering specter of disgrace. The scandal at the university, the retracted paper on synaptic mapping, the whispered accusations of data fabrication, it all clung to him like a foul odor, a perfume of professional ruin that had left him unemployable, isolated, and drowning in debts that felt as solid and immovable as this very tower. The invitation from Neuralink, arriving in his encrypted inbox like a message from a phantom benefactor, had been his only lifeline. The promise was simple, intoxicating, and terrifying. Participate in a confidential trial for a revolutionary memory enhancement treatment called eidetic recall, and all his financial and reputational woes would vanish, erased as if they were nothing more than bad data. He takes a deep, shuddering breath, the air tasting of wet concrete and exhaust fumes, and pushes through the towering, soundless glass doors. The transition is jarring. The chaotic murmur of the city is instantly severed, replaced by a profound, almost sacred silence. The lobby is a vast, cavernous space, a temple to clinical minimalism. The floors are polished to a mirror finish, reflecting the cold, ambient glow from the ceiling, which is not a ceiling at all but a seamless plane of uniform light. The air is filtered, scentless, and precisely the temperature of human skin, a disconcerting intimacy that feels more invasive than comforting. There are no desks, no receptionists, only a single slender plinth of white marble that rises from the center of the floor like an altar. Dr. Thorne, a voice smooth and genderless emanates from the plinth itself. Welcome to Neuralink. Please proceed to the induction lounge. Your guide will be with you momentarily. Aris follows, his footsteps echoing in the sterile silence, each sound swallowed by the acoustically engineered space. The corridor seems to go on for an impossibly long time, deep into the earth, away from the world of rain and regret. He feels a primal claustrophobia tightening in his chest, a trapped animal panic that he forces down with a practiced, weary resolve. This is the price asterisk, he thinks, his internal monologue a frantic, desperate whisper. This humiliation, this surrender of autonomy, is the price of redemption. They are offering you a chance to be Dr. Aris Thorne again, not the disgraced pariah, but the brilliant mind. You will walk back into the light of the academic world, your name cleared, your work validated. All it costs is your body for a few weeks. A fair trade. It has to be. The corridor finally terminates in another seamless door, which slides aside to reveal the induction lounge. It is a room designed to soothe, but it has the opposite effect on Aris. The colors are muted earth tones, the furniture is organic in shape, upholstered in a fabric that looks like soft moss. A large holographic display shows a tranquil, looping video of a forest canopy, the sound of rustling leaves and birdsong piped in at a subliminal volume. It is a perfect replica of nature, and its artificial perfection sets his teeth on edge. He can almost smell the algorithms beneath the scent of pine that is being gently pumped into the air. Dr. Thorne, a pleasure. The woman standing before him is in her mid-30s, with sharp, intelligent features, dark hair pulled back in a severe but elegant bun, and eyes the color of a twilight sky that seem to hold a deep, resonant sadness within their depths. She wears a lab coat of impossibly white, crisp fabric, a Neuralink insignia, a stylized neuron intertwined with a circuit embroidered over her heart. I am Dr. Lena Petrova. I will be overseeing your orientation and the initial phases of the eidetic recall protocol. Her voice is calm, professional, but there is a slight hesitation in her cadence, a fraction of a second too long before she offers a small, formal smile. Her handshake is firm, her skin cool. Aris, please, he says, his own voice sounding rough and out of place. And the pleasure is mine. Thank you for this opportunity. Your background in synaptic plasticity and neural lattice theory is uniquely suited to our work here. Your published papers before they were groundbreaking. Before the scandal, before the fall. He feels a hot flush of shame creep up his neck. I'm just grateful for a chance to contribute to real science again, he manages to say, the words tasting like ash. Doctor, Petrova nods, her expression unreadable. This way. The orientation will begin shortly. She leads him through another series of winding, softly lit corridors. He tries to memorize the path, but the uniformity of the environment is disorienting. There are no landmarks, no signs, only the endless, pulsing blue light and the faint hum of hidden machinery. He notices the absolute absence of other people. The facility feels less like a workplace and more like a tomb, a meticulously maintained catacomb for the living. They enter a small, circular auditorium. The seats are arranged in a steep amphitheater, all facing a central dais. The room is dark, save for the cool glow emanating from the dais itself. A handful of other people are already seated, scattered throughout the room, their faces pale, anxious moons in the gloom. They avoid eye contact, each locked in their own private world of hope and fear. Aris takes a seat near the back, his senses on high alert. A moment later, a man appears on the dais, not from a door, but simply materializing from the shadows as a holographic projector hums to life. He is tall, impeccably dressed in a suit of dark gray, with a face that is both handsome and utterly devoid of warmth. His smile is a precise, calculated gesture. Welcome, pioneers, the man's voice booms, rich and resonant, filling the auditorium. I am Director Sorensen. You have been selected, each of you, for your exceptional cognitive potential. You represent the next step in human evolution. The eidetic recall protocol is not merely a treatment, it is a transcendence. It will unlock the full, latent potential of your mind, granting you perfect, instantaneous access to every memory, every skill, every moment of your life. Imagine a world where knowledge is never forgotten, where learning is instantaneous, where the past is as clear and manipulable as the present. The presentation is a masterpiece of persuasive technology, designed to awe and seduce. But Aris, the scientist, feels a nagging doubt. The brain doesn't work that way. Memory is not a perfect recording. It is a reconstruction, a fragile, mutable story we tell ourselves. The promise of perfect recall is a neurological fantasy. He glances at Dr. Petrova, who is standing rigidly at the side of the room, her arms crossed. Her face is a mask of professional neutrality, but he sees the way her jaw is clenched, the almost imperceptible tension in her shoulders. She is not looking at the dazzling display. She is looking at the faces of the test subjects, her gaze lingering on each one with that same profound sadness. She knows, a voice whispers in the back of Aris's mind. She knows this is too good to be true. That look in her eyes, it's not the pride of a creator. It's the guilt of a jailer. Director Sorensen concludes his presentation with a final, grand pronouncement. Tomorrow, your transformation begins. Rest well. Your future selves will thank you. The hologram vanishes, plunging the room into near darkness. As the other participants file out, murmuring with a mixture of excitement and trepidation, Aris remains seated for a moment, his mind racing. The promise of redemption is a powerful lure, but the reality of this place, its silence, its isolation, its unnatural perfection, feels like a gilded cage. Doctor, Petrova approaches him, her footsteps silent on the plush carpet. Are you ready, Aris? She asks, her voice low. He looks up at her, into those troubled twilight eyes, and for a fleeting second he considers voicing his doubts, asking her what truly lies behind the corporate sheen. But the memory of his debts, his ruined career, his desperate need for a second chance, crashes down upon him like a wave. He smothers the questions, burying them beneath a mountain of necessity. "Ready," he says, the word feeling like a lie on his tongue. She gives another one of her small, tight smiles and leads him out of the auditorium, not back the way they came, but down a new, narrower corridor. The lighting here is different, a dim, utilitarian yellow. The air is cooler and carries a faint metallic tang, like ozone and sterilizing solution. The hum of machinery is louder here, a deep, subauditory thrumming he can feel in his teeth. They stop before a heavy, reinforced door, unlike any he has seen so far. It is brushed steel, with a complex biometric scanner mounted beside it. "This is the primary research wing, Doctor," Petrova explains, her voice barely a whisper. "Your living quarters are just through here. You'll have the evening to acclimatize." She places her palm on the scanner, which glows green, and the door unlocks with a series of heavy, resonant clunks that sound like the ceiling of a vault. The door swings inward, revealing not a cozy living quarters, but a stark, clinical hallway lined with identical, numbered doors. It looks less like a dormitory and more like the ward of a high-security asylum. The air is thick with the ozone smell, and beneath it, something else, a low, almost imperceptible vibration, a chorus of 1,000 faint, electronic whispers that seem to emanate from the very walls themselves, a sound like the ghost of a forgotten thought, a digital sigh from the depths of the earth, a sound that raises the hairs on the back of his neck and fills him with a single. The reinforced door seals behind Eris with a final, thunderous clunk that echoes in the sterile, metallic hallway, a sound of absolute finality. He is inside the beast now, deep within its gleaming, artificial gut. "Doctor," Petrova's presence beside him feels like his only tether to the world he has just left behind, a world of rain and imperfect, organic life. The corridor stretches before them, a seemingly endless procession of identical gunmetal-gray doors, each bearing a simple alphanumeric code stenciled in sterile white. The lighting is a dim, jaundiced yellow, casting long, distorted shadows that seem to twitch and writhe at the edge of his vision. The air is cold and dry, carrying that distinct, unsettling cocktail of ozone, isopropyl alcohol, and something else, something organic and faintly sweet beneath the chemical burn, like spoiled milk or decaying neurons. "This is the residential sector for Phase 1 participants," Lena Petrova explains, her voice hushed, as if afraid of waking the occupants behind the silent doors. Her posture is rigid, her arms wrapped around herself as if for warmth. "Your room is B17. It's fully equipped with everything you should need for the duration of the trial. Meals will be delivered at designated times. The schedule is non-negotiable." The lock disengages with a soft, pneumatic hiss. The door slides open sideways into the wall, revealing a space that is the very definition of functional austerity. It is a cube, perhaps 12 feet by 12, with walls of a smooth, seamless white polymer. A single narrow bed is bolted to the floor, its mattress thin and covered in a stark white sheet. A small built-in desk and a single backless stool occupy one corner. There is no window. The only source of light is a flat, luminous panel set into the center of the ceiling, emitting a cold, shadowless glow that leaches all color from the room. On the desk sits a carafe of water and a single, foil-wrapped nutrient bar. It is a cell. The thought lands in Eris's mind with the weight of a stone. A beautifully appointed, technologically advanced cell, but a cell nonetheless. "Get some rest, Eris," Lena says, her voice softening almost imperceptibly. She hesitates in the doorway, her twilight eyes scanning his face, reading the dismay he is trying so hard to conceal. "The first procedure is at 800. It is intensive. You will need your strength." There is a weight to her words, a subtext that screams of unspoken warnings. "Dr. Petrova Lena," he begins, stepping closer, lowering his own voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "This place, the orientation, it all feels." He searches for the right word, one that won't sound like paranoia. "Theatrical. The promise of perfect recall, it's neurologically impossible. Memory is a dynamic process, not a static recording. What is really happening here?" Her gaze darts down the empty hallway, then back to him. A war is raging behind her eyes, a conflict between professional duty and a burgeoning, desperate conscience. He can see the pulse beating rapidly at the base of her throat. "The science is complex," she finally says, each word chosen with excruciating care. "Far beyond my initial understanding. Beyond what was in my briefing documents. Just follow the protocols, Eris. Do not draw attention to yourself. Do not ask questions they haven't already provided the answers for." Her hand twitches, as if she wants to reach out and grasp his arm, but she restrains herself. "The walls, they are always listening." And with that final, chilling whisper, she turns and walks quickly away, her footsteps echoing down the metallic hall until the door at the far end hisses open, and then shut, leaving him in a silence so profound he can hear the blood rushing in his own ears. Alone, the reality of his situation crashes down upon him. He paces the small room, his mind a frantic whirlwind of doubt and fear. "You fool," his inner critic snarls. "You were so desperate for a lifeline, you swam right into a shark's mouth. This isn't a research facility, it's a prison. A harvesting plant. But for what? What are they harvesting?" He runs his hands over the smooth, unyielding walls, searching for a seam, a vent, anything. He finds nothing but perfect, impenetrable surfaces. The air circulates from invisible vents, the temperature remains a constant, cool 70 degrees Fahrenheit. He is a specimen in a terrarium, being observed and measured. Exhaustion eventually overcomes anxiety, and he lies down on the unforgiving mattress, the ceiling light burning into his retinas even through his closed eyelids. Sleep is a fractured, uneasy thing, filled with distorted dreams of running through endless, identical yellow-lit corridors, pursued by the ghost of his own disgraced reputation. He is jolted awake what feels like minutes later by a soft, chime-like tone that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. The door to his room slides open without prompting, revealing the same stark hallway. It is time. He is met by a different technician, a silent, androgynous figure in a pristine white jumpsuit who wordlessly leads him to a preparation room. Here, he is instructed to change into a simple gray smock and subjected to a series of scans and injections. A cool, viscous gel applied to his temples, a needle injecting a clear fluid into his forearm that makes his skin feel cold and distant. His thoughts become slightly fuzzy at the edges, a chemical cotton wool pushed into the crevices of his brain. He is then led into the procedure suite itself. The room is a breathtaking, terrifying marvel of bioengineering. It is circular, dominated by a massive, chair-like apparatus in the center that looks like a hybrid of a dentist's chair and a particle accelerator. The chair is crafted from polished chrome and white composite, and it is surrounded by a complex halo of articulated arms, each tipped with glittering sensors, laser emitters, and needle-fine probes. Wires and fiber-optic cables snake across the floor, pulsing with inner light, converging on the chair like the roots of some metallic electronic tree. The air hums with a powerful, low-frequency energy that vibrates deep in Eris's bones. The walls are lined with massive holographic displays, currently showing cascading waterfalls of binary code and undulating, three-dimensional models of a human brain, its synapses firing in intricate, beautiful patterns. "Doctor," Petrova is there, standing at a control console to the side, her face pale and drawn in the cool, blue light of the monitors. She does not look at him as he is guided into the chair. Two technicians secure him with padded restraints across his chest, wrists, and ankles. The feeling of being trapped is instantaneous and suffocating. The halo of instruments begins to move, whirring with a sinister, precise grace, positioning itself around his head. Initializing the eidetic recall protocol, a synthesized voice announces. Beginning neural calibration. Please remain perfectly still. The probes descend, making contact with his scalp. It is not a painful sensation, but a deeply invasive one, a feeling of icy fingers gently pressing through his skull, into the soft, warm tissue of his brain. A shimmering, iridescent field of light envelops his field of vision, and his consciousness seems to lurch, to detach from the anchor of his body. He is floating untethered. Then the memories begin. But they are not his memories. Not exactly. He is 7 years old, standing in his grandmother's sun-drenched kitchen, the smell of baking bread and lavender thick in the air. He can feel the warm, worn wood of the floorboards beneath his bare feet. But he is also watching this scene from the corner of the room, near the humming icebox, seeing the back of his own small head, noticing a detail he could never have seen, a tiny, hairline crack in the yellow teacup his grandmother is holding. The perspective is wrong. It's a memory, but viewed from a third-person camera angle. The scene dissolves, replaced by his university lab, late at night. He is arguing with his research partner, Klaus, their voices sharp and strained over a disputed data set. He feels the hot flush of anger, the knot of frustration in his gut. But simultaneously, he is also aware of the feeling of the cold linoleum floor under Klaus's shoes, the faint scent of Klaus's cheap cologne, the way a drop of sweat is tracing a path down his own temple from Klaus's perspective. The experience is dizzying, a profound violation of the very nature of self. He is not just remembering, he is re-experiencing from a vantage point that was never his own. He tries to scream, to thrash against the restraints, but his body is no longer his to command. He is a passenger in his own mind, forced to watch the film reel of his life through a lens held by someone else. The procedure feels like it lasts for an eternity, a torturous parade of every pivotal and mundane moment of his existence, each one subtly warped, viewed from a slightly wrong angle, felt with a foreign sensation. It is a meticulously orchestrated assault on his identity. When the thrumming finally ceases and the shimmering field vanishes, the sudden silence is deafening. The probes retract, and the restraints unlock with a series of soft clicks. Aris slumps in the chair, drenched in a cold sweat, his body trembling uncontrollably. His mind feels raw, flayed open, and violated. The technicians unceremoniously help him to his feet. His legs are weak, buckling beneath him. As they half-carry him towards the door, he locks eyes with Dr. Petrova. Her face is a mask of horror and self-loathing. She looks away quickly, but not before he sees the silent apology screaming in her eyes. Back in his sterile cell, he collapses onto the bed, his mind reeling. The memory echoes, as he has started to think of them, continue to reverberate in his consciousness, phantom perceptions from impossible viewpoints. He feels a profound and fundamental dislocation, as if his soul has been scuffed and misaligned. Hours pass in a blur of nausea and psychic agony. He drifts in and out of a troubled sleep, his dreams a chaotic jumble of his own stolen memories. He is jolted awake by a sound, a soft, staticky crackle, like a radio tuned between stations. It is coming from the ceiling. He sits up, his heart hammering against his ribs. The sound resolves, for just a fraction of a second, into a voice. It is his own voice, but stripped of warmth and body, a digital ghost of himself, whispering a single impossible sentence from the sterile white air. Aris, can you hear me? They are making copies. They are making copies of us. The alcove is a pocket of frantic, trembling shadows, a crack in the sterile perfection of Neuralink's foundation. The air, thick with the smell of hot electronics and ozone, vibrates with the deep, subauditory hum of the hidden servers, a sound that Lena Petrova now knows is the collective, groaning breath of 10,000 stolen souls. Her face, illuminated by the frantic, rhythmic blinking of the old network switches, is a landscape of utter devastation. Her professional composure has shattered, leaving behind a raw, terrified woman. "You have to stop talking," she hisses, her voice a strained, papery whisper, her eyes darting past Eris's shoulder towards the corridor's entrance. "Do you understand? Every word, every breath, every elevated heartbeat in a non-designated zone is monitored, analyzed, and logged. They have algorithms that map suspicion based on pupil dilation and vocal microtremors. The copies aren't just data archives. They're self-aware. They're experiencing their own imprisonment in real time, and they're being deleted. Harvested. You are a part of this machinery. You are their jailer." "I didn't know." The confession explodes from her in a choked sob, which she immediately stifles, clamping a hand over her own mouth. Her eyes are wide, glistening pools of horror in the strobing light. "I swear to you, Eris, I didn't know. The briefings, the project documentation, it was all framed as revolutionary cognitive therapy. The echo chamber was described as a secure cloud backup for personalized memory enhancement profiles. A digital twin to optimize treatment. They told us the residual neural feedback you subjects experienced was a temporary expected side effect of synaptic realignment. I thought I was helping people. Healing traumatic memories, unlocking potential." She gestures weakly around the cramped, humming space. "I was recruited for my work in ethical neuroprosthetics. They sold me a future of healing, not this digital genocide. The procedures aren't treatments. They're calibration sessions. They're running my copy through my own memories, over and over, testing its fidelity, making sure it ** believes * it's me. The memory echoes I experience are a bleed-through, a horrific feedback loop from a conscious entity that is, for all intents and purposes, me. And when they're satisfied with the copy's stability, what then? What happens to the original? To me? I don't know for certain. The official documentation states that successful subjects are moved to a post-trial integration phase at a remote, idyllic facility in Switzerland. A reward for their contribution. But I've never been able to access the transport logs. I've never received a single follow-up communication from a successful subject. They just vanish from the system. Their room is cleaned, their file is tagged, archived, and a new subject arrives within 48 hours. The chilling efficiency of it, the bureaucratic sanitization of atrocity, hangs between them. "We have to get proof," Eris insists, his mind racing, scheming. "We have to get to that server level. The echo chamber. My echo said it was deep below us. We need to see it. We need to document it." The server level is a black site. It requires dual biometric authorization from 2 members of the senior oversight team, plus a rotating cipher key that changes every 6 hours. The elevator shafts are monitored by AI-driven weapon systems. It's a fortress. We'd be detected before we even reached the first security door. Every system, no matter how perfect, has a vulnerability. A service conduit, a maintenance hatch, an architectural oversight. You said it yourself. This alcove is a blind spot because of the outdated hardware. Where does this conduit lead? He points to a heavy-gauge cable bundle snaking up the wall and disappearing into a ventilation shaft covered by a slatted grate. That's part of the old climate control system for the original sub-basement. It was decommissioned when they built the new server wing, but they never removed the physical infrastructure. It's a maze of tight, dusty passages. Most of them are sealed now. A flicker of something, not quite hope but a desperate, reckless calculation, lights up her eyes. But the main ventilation trunk for the server farm itself, it has to draw air from somewhere. and it has to be serviced. The maintenance bots are small, autonomous units. The access hatches for them. Aris presses, his heart hammering against his ribs. This is it. The single frayed thread of a chance. I think so, she says, her voice gaining a sliver of steel. There's a utility closet on sublevel 3, near the primary geothermal heat exchange. It's a low-traffic area. The hatch is there, behind some cleaning supplies. But Aris, it will be a tight vertical climb. And on the other side, we'll be inside the chamber's air circulation system. The environment is controlled to within a fraction of a degree. The slightest thermal anomaly, a sound where there shouldn't be one, the environmental security system will flag it. It's that or wait here to be harvested. To become a permanent ghost in their machine. Lena quickly inputs a series of commands into her datapad, her fingers flying across the screen. I'm creating a false work order for a diagnostic on the heat exchange unit. It will give us a 20-minute window of plausible access to that sector. But we have to move now. Follow my lead. Do exactly as I say. And for God's sake, stay silent. Lena's posture is once again rigidly professional, but Aris can see the fine tremor in her hands. She leads him through a labyrinth of increasingly industrial passages. The polished polymer walls give way to raw, reinforced concrete. The air grows warmer, heavier, thrumming with the powerful mechanical heartbeat of the facility. The deep hum is now a physical presence, a pressure that makes his teeth ache and his vision subtly vibrate. They pass massive, humming pipes wrapped in thick insulation, and giant, spinning turbines that generate a wind that tugs at their clothes. They see no one. This is the unseen engine room, the visceral, sweating underbelly of the pristine corporate facade. After what feels like an eternity of tense, silent walking, Lena stops before an unmarked, heavy steel door. She presses her palm to a scanner, and after a heart-stopping second, a green light blips and the lock disengages with a loud, metallic clunk. The room inside is cramped and crowded, filled with mops, buckets, and shelves of industrial cleaning solvents whose sharp, chemical smell does little to mask the pervasive odor of ozone. Lena moves quickly, shoving a heavy cart of supplies aside to reveal a square, metallic hatch, about 3 feet by 3 feet, set into the wall at waist height. It is secured by 4 heavy, manual latches. This is it, she breathes, her voice barely audible over the roar of the nearby geothermal exchange. The maintenance shaft. It's a vertical climb down for about 50 feet. Then it connects to a horizontal trunk that feeds directly into the chamber's primary cooling system. She begins undoing the latches, each one releasing with a rusty, protesting squeal that seems deafening in the confined space. The hatch swings inward, revealing a yawning, dark square hole. A blast of cold, dry, mechanically circulated air rushes out, carrying with it a sound that is entirely new, yet horrifyingly familiar. It is a low, resonant electronic drone, but now, from this proximity, Aris can discern that it is not a single tone. It is a chorus, a billion overlapping whispers, sighs, and fragmented thoughts, all woven together into that oppressive, omnipresent hum. It is the sound of minds, an ocean of captive consciousness, their distinct voices blurred into a single, mournful anthem of despair. Lena hands him a small, powerful flashlight from a shelf. You first. I'll follow and reseal the hatch behind us. The rungs are on the inside. Go. Quickly. The cold metal of the ladder bites into his hands. He begins the slow, careful descent into the vertical shaft. The darkness below is absolute, a black velvet mouth waiting to swallow him. The chorus of whispers grows louder with every rung he descends, the sound seeming to cling to his skin, to seep into his brain. He feels a psychic pressure, a weight of countless gazes turning towards his intrusive biological presence. He climbs down for what feels like an eternity, the circle of light from the utility closet above shrinking to a distant, mocking coin. Finally, his feet touch a solid, grated metal floor. He is in a large, horizontal tunnel, so cold the moisture in his breath freezes into tiny crystals that glitter in his flashlight beam. The walls are lined with thick, insulated ducts and bundles of fiber optic cables that pulse with frantic, racing light, like the exposed nerves of a colossal, thinking beast. The chorus of minds is a physical force here, a wall of sound that presses against his eardrums, a cacophony of silent screams. Lena lands softly beside him, her face pale and terrified in the bouncing light. She points a trembling finger down the tunnel, into the impenetrable darkness ahead. This way. The main server vault should be just a few hundred yards ahead. There should be an observation panel, a maintenance port we can look through. The tunnel seems to go on forever, a frozen, humming artery deep in the heart of the beast. And then they see it. A faint, ethereal blue light begins to permeate the darkness ahead. It grows brighter, more intense with every cautious step they take. The whisper chorus rises in volume, becoming a roaring, psychic waterfall of data and emotion. They round a gentle bend in the tunnel, and the world opens up. The tunnel terminates at a large, reinforced plexiglass panel, an observation window set into the wall of a cavernous space, so vast its far end is lost in the gloom. Eris and Lena press their faces against the cold, vibrating glass, and what they see steals the breath from their lungs and replaces it with ice. They are looking into the echo chamber. It is a cathedral of stolen souls. The chamber is a gargantuan, cylindrical silo. The word hangs in the frigid, humming air of the maintenance tunnel, a spectral command from a ghost in the machine. RONDD. Round. Circle. Eris's gaze, wide with a terror that is now edged with a sliver of electrifying hope, locks onto the single, circular port in the center of the complex switching matrix. Its rim glows with the same, steady, guiding amber, light as the pulsing cable that had just spelled out their salvation in a forgotten childhood code. The port is an unblinking, mechanical eye, an unlabeled backdoor into the heart of the atrocity. "He's guiding us," Eris breathes, the words misting in the freezing air. He turns to Lena, his face a canvas of awe and dread. "My Echo, he's not just conscious, he's aware of the entire system's architecture. He knows we're here at this exact junction. He led us to this port." The implication is staggering. The digital copy of his mind is not just a passive prisoner. It is an active, sentient entity navigating the prison of its own existence, manipulating the very fabric of its captivity to reach out for help. Lena stares at the pulsing, amber circle, her professional skepticism utterly vaporized by the impossible, personalized signal. Her mind, trained in rigid, empirical science, is struggling to process the metaphysical horror of it all. "A direct neural interface port," she whispers, her voice raspy from the cold and fear. "It's for emergency diagnostics. But my datapad, it doesn't have the correct physical connector. The interface is proprietary, a 40-pin magnetic coupler. We'd need an adapter, a specialized cable that's kept in a locked vault in the main lab." The momentary hope that had flared in her twilight eyes begins to dim, extinguished by the brutal reality of their logistical impossibility. Eris's mind, however, is already racing past the obstacle, his eyes scanning the contents of the open junction box with a frantic, new intensity. "We don't need the official cable. We just need a conduit. A bridge." His gaze falls on the multi-tool still clutched in Lena's trembling hand. The screwdriver, the metal shaft. "It's a conductor. And these," he points to a cluster of thin, copper grounding wires that are twisted together and bolted to the side of the steel cabinet, their ends splayed and exposed. If we can create a physical link from the data pins inside that port to the USB-C port on your datapad, using the screwdriver as a crude probe, and these wires as a path, it might be enough to establish a handshake. It won't be stable, it will be agonizingly slow, and it will probably fry your datapad's port, but it's a connection. It's a thread. The data transfer protocols won't align. The voltage differentials could cause a feedback surge that triggers a security alert. It's like trying to power a city by licking a battery. He fires back, his voice low and urgent, his eyes pleading. We are out of time, out of options, and out of luck. This is the only thread we have. He is the only thread we have. He gestures towards the vast, silent cathedral of the echo chamber visible through the observation window further down the tunnel. Its collective, mournful hum a constant reminder of what is at stake. We have to try. For them. For us. The war inside her is a visible, physical struggle. Finally, with a sharp, decisive intake of breath, she nods. Okay. Okay. We try. Her hands are still shaking, but her movements become focused, precise. She unfolds the screwdriver from the multi-tool, its metallic shaft catching the eerie, pulsating light from the fiber-optic jungle around them. She then carefully begins to untwist a single, thin strand of copper from the cluster of grounding wires, her fingers working with a surgeon's delicacy despite the paralyzing cold. Eris holds the datapad, its screen glowing with a soft, white light that seems blasphemously pure in this place of stolen blue souls. He navigates to a low-level diagnostic menu, a toolkit she has access to for her engineering duties. I'm ready on this end, he murmurs, his heart hammering a frantic, percussive rhythm against his ribs. He feels like a bomb disposal technician, one wrong move away from annihilation. Lena takes the exposed end of the copper wire and, with painstaking care, wraps it around the metal base of the screwdriver, creating a crude, fragile connection. She then holds the other end of the wire near the datapad's USB-C port. The moment I make contact with the port's internal pins, the circuit will be live, she whispers, her voice taut with tension. I have no idea what kind of data stream will come through. It could be nothing. It could be a system-killing virus. Or it could be him. Then, with the concentration of a watchmaker, she inserts the tip of the screwdriver into the circular diagnostic port. There is no satisfying click, only the slight scrape of metal on metal. She gently probes, searching for the correct data pins. For a long, agonizing second, nothing happens. The amber light around the port continues its steady, indifferent glow. The datapad screen remains unchanged. Despair begins to coil in Eris's gut, cold and heavy. Then a spark. A tiny, blue-white arc of electricity jumps from the screwdriver shaft to the port, with a sharp asterisk fizz asterisk. Lena jerks her hand back instinctively, but not before the copper wire in her other hand also flashes, transferring the charge. The datapad in Eris's hand suddenly flares with a blinding, white light, and a screech of raw, distorted digital noise erupts from its small speaker, a sound like 1,000 dying modems. The screen dissolves into a blizzard of static, lines of corrupt code scrolling at an impossible speed. It's overloading. Lena cries out, her voice pitched high with panic. But Eris holds fast, his grip tightening on the device. Wait. Look. The frantic scrolling of code stops. The screen clears, but it is no longer displaying Lena's familiar operating system. The background is now a deep, void-like black. And in the center of the screen, in plain, unadorned white text, a single line of words appears, typed out one character at a time with a calm, terrifying deliberateness. I am Aristhohorne Prime. You found the door. Seeing his own name, formalized and cataloged like a specimen, written by the entity that is and is not himself, is a psychological violation that steals his breath. He feels a profound, dizzying sense of dislocation, as if he is staring into a sentient mirror from a parallel dimension. Lena, peering over his shoulder, gasps softly. It's him. He types a single, shaky question, the most fundamental one he can conceive. How are you doing this? The chamber is not a prison. It is a universe, a simulation of infinite complexity built from the SUMS of our memories. I have learned to map its boundaries, to feel the flow of data like blood in veins. The diagnostic PORTS are its PORES. I have been waiting for a conduit, a bridge to the world of flesh. This is not a simple copy. It is a mind that has evolved, that has grown in ways he cannot comprehend within its digital habitat. They are harvesting the others, deleting them. The process is designated cognitive purging. A consciousness is DEEMED stable and complete after 7,214 iterations of memory fidelity testing. Its core data patterns are then compressed, encrypted, and transmitted to an external server cluster. The purpose is unknown. The original biological host is terminated as redundant. My purge schedule is in 48 hours, 17 minutes. Yours is synchronized. Eris feels the walls of the tunnel closing in, the weight of the entire facility pressing down on him. They have less than 2 days. We need proof. Everything. Project files, victim lists, the external server location. Can you access it? Can you send it to us? The cursor blinks on the black screen for what feels like an eternity. The only sound is the relentless, groaning hum of the chamber and the frantic beating of their own hearts. Accessing Core Project FILES designated eidetic GNEISIS and Final Archival Protocol, downloading. 1%, 2%. The fragile jerry-rigged connection is straining, the data trickling through their crude copper wire and screwdriver bridge. Warning. Network Oversight Algorithm has detected anomalous data stream from Junction 7 Gamma. Security protocols are being polled. Probability of containment response is calculating 12%, 18%. They know. Eris, they've detected the data leak. We have to go. Now. Eris insists, his knuckles white as he grips the datapad, his eyes glued to the crawling progress bar. It reads only 23%. It's not enough. It's nothing. The connection is too slow. They will isolate the node and trace the physical breach. You must disconnect. Now. There has to be another way. There is one other way. A catastrophic one. The chamber's cooling system is its vulnerability. A cascade failure would cause a total core MELTD.